Jonathan, how do I find time to work on my side business? Maybe the beautiful thing of starting a side business, especially online, is that you can work on this in the margins of your life, right? But yet you're like, I got a full-time job. I've got kids at home. I'm involved with Little League. How do I find time to work on this side passion project of mine and build a business? Well, I've got 4 tips to share with you today that I think are going to revolutionize the way you approach building your business on the side. Let's get started. Hey messengers, welcome to the Market Your Message Show. I'm your host, Jonathan Milligan, and author of the new book, Your Message Matters: How to Rise Above the Noise and Get Paid for What You Know. And I'm so excited to be here with you today because we're going to be covering an important topic today, and that is managing your time. How do you manage your time wisely? This is difficult because we are busy. I know, just to tell you a quick story, I know exactly what it was like. It was 2009. I had just launched my career coach blog for accounting professionals. I really wanted to work on it and get it up and running. But here was my reality. I was working a day job at the time. That day job was a 100% commission job, meaning I couldn't just slack off my day job and work on my blog to build it during the day. I had to get results, right? And so that was not an opportunity for me. So then I thought, well, maybe the evenings. Well, my kids were young at the time, and they were involved in soccer, Little League. We had practices. We're very involved with our church. So Sundays were out, and it was just, life was busy. But I'm going to share with you not only the tip that revolutionized everything for me, I believe, but I want to share with you a couple additional tips of friends of mine who are now running full-time online businesses and what they did to work on the side to get momentum in their business. Sound good? So that's what we're going to tackle today. Again, this topic is how to find time to work on your side business. In fact, here's what you're going to discover. You're going to discover why the work for yourself first mentality is a game changer. I'm also going to talk to you about what a Saturday morning Blitz session is, what your chronotype has to do with your productivity, and much, much more. Now, if you're brand new or you say, Jonathan, I don't even have my business started yet, I'm still trying to figure out what type of business to start, I've got something special for you. This is our 9-page blueprint called the Discover Your Message Blueprint. This is where you need to start because here's why. You need to find out, first of all, what you do best. Second of all, who you want to help. And 3, what problem you're going to help solve, because that's what brings income and impact. When we solve problems, every good business solves a problem for a specific group of people. So if you want to know how to get started, go to marketyourmessage.com/discover. Again, it's marketyourmessage.com/discover and grab this 9-page guide. All right. So we're going to jump right into our topic today. I want to share with you 4 tips. Now, truth be told, you don't need to implement all 4 of these tips. In fact, you just need to pick one. Pick one of these 4 tips that work best for your unique situation and start applying it right away. All right? So let's jump in. Tip number 1 is to work for yourself first. I told you my story at the beginning that, life was busy. There was no opportunity to work in the evenings. I couldn't work during the day. Evenings were out. And it was like, man, when am I going to do this? Staying up late? No, I'm too tired. I can't do that. So here's what I decided, that I was going to work for myself first. I literally wrote that on a sticky note and put it on my computer at home and put work for yourself first. What does that mean? Before I give my time to my employer, I decided that I was going to give myself 2 hours every morning. So for me, that was 5 to 7 a.m. every morning. Now, I'll be honest with you. The first week or two were a little bit difficult. I struggled a little bit because I was just it's a new thing, right? It's a new habit. It's like, do I really want to get up? Do I really want to do this? But I tell you, before too long, I didn't want to miss this session. It was the quietness of the morning. Nobody was texting me. I was not getting any phone calls. My kids weren't coming into my home office. And it was like the beautiful thing was waking up. John Acuff said in his book, Start, that joy is an incredible alarm clock. And if you pick a business that you're excited about, then joy can be an incredible alarm clock when you give yourself that type of dedication. And so out of all 4 tips, this is the tip that worked best for me, is I started giving myself 10 hours every week, 2 hours Monday through Friday, that I could dedicate to my business. And like I've talked about in prior episodes, consistency is the mother of motivation and momentum. You have to be consistent first. You see, we all want motivation. We all want momentum, but it doesn't happen unless consistency takes place first. And that's what it did for me. And so that's the first tip that I would pass along to you, that maybe this is the tip that will serve you well. And I would encourage you to experiment with it. But 5 to 7 a.m. every morning was my time. It was my time to work for myself first. Here's tip number 2, the Saturday morning blitz. What is this? Well, here's the reality. For a lot of people, early Saturday mornings is a time to sleep in. And I'm certainly not telling you to never sleep in again. But just like I mentioned, joy is an incredible alarm clock. One thing you could think about is an early morning 2 to 4 hours on a Saturday. So maybe every weekday doesn't work for you or your schedule, but 7 to 10, 7 to 11 on a Saturday could be something that works for you. Let me give you an example. So a good friend of mine who's a full-time blogger, and he's got a new book coming out. He's been full-time now, I believe, over 10 years with his blog, is Bob Loddick from seedtime.com. And he writes about personal finance. And when I talked to him about, in the early days, how did you find time to work on your business? He said, Jonathan, it was Saturday mornings for me. I would wake up early on Saturday mornings. In the quiet peacefulness of the morning, I would give myself, 2 to 4 hours. That's when he would write his blog post for the next week. He would do a little bit of work, schedule all the emails, and then he was done. He would close the laptop and he was good. So what are the recurring tasks in your business? And for a lot of people, it's creating content and communicating through email or social media. So you might want to try the Saturday morning blitz idea. And what this does is both of these strategies help you to compact your ideal work that you want to get done into a smaller time frame. What that means is you have a less tendency to procrastinate because you only have a couple hours. Work kind of fills the space that you give it. Have you noticed that? It's actually a phenomenon talked about in psychology. Work will fill the time allotted. Think about college days, right? You had all semester to write the paper. But what did you do? You probably wrote the paper in 24 hours because work tends to fill the space that you give it. All right? So there's tip number 2. Tip number 3, the lunch hour hustle. Now, this could be an option for you, and I've got another great story as an example on this. So maybe early mornings don't work for you, but you do get an hour every day for lunch. And if you get an hour every day for lunch, utilize that. That's 5 hours a week. Most people tend to waste this time. You can utilize this strategy. So I'll give you an example. A good friend of mine, Joseph Nicoletti. Some of you know him as the Scrivener coach. Again, he is full-time in his business, but it wasn't always that way. He was working on his business on the side. And so here's what he did. I mean, literally, this is what he did. Every day, now he worked in a corporate setting, every day during lunch, he would get in his car, drive to the nearest Starbucks so he could get close enough to the Wi-Fi signal. And he would record videos for his online course, Scrivener Coach course. And every day he would do that same discipline of working on creating videos near the Wi-Fi signal, recording them in his car because he said the acoustics were great. And he was able to record tutorial videos on how to use Scrivener right in his car. That, my friend, is the lunch hour hustle. And so maybe you look out over your current schedule and you say, you know what? I want to experiment with the lunch hour hustle. There you go. And then finally, tip number 4 is to know your chronotype. Now, we talked about this in a prior episode, but I want to bring it up again here because I think it is so important. You see, this is something that has been discovered from scientists, from people in the area of sleep study. In fact, the person who wrote the book called The Power of When, W-H-E-N, forget his name off the top of my head, but he's known as Dr. Sleep, and he originally was helping people to sleep better. Well, in his studying, he realized that he was looking at your chronotype. And basically, it is like your sleep cycle. It's when you're awake and when you're asleep. And what he discovered was there was 4 types of chronotypes. In other words, you've probably heard this before, but some people are morning people. Some people are night owls, right? Have you ever heard of the early bird, night owl, those type of concepts? And so in his book, he talks about these 4 types. Number 1, lions. Lions are the morning types. This is me. So I tend to be a lion. I can't sleep in. When I wake up, my mind starts racing and I feel like I just got to jump in and get started. In fact, even right now, even though I've been running a full-time business and I can work anytime I want to, I still wake up in the first hour of my day is actually working on my business. I call it a focus session. So typically the night before, I'll decide, okay, first thing when I wake up, I'm grabbing a cup of coffee. I've got my laptop. I'm at my kitchen table. The sun's not even up yet. It's usually around 6:30 a.m. And from 6:30 to 7:30 a.m., I am getting work done in my business before I jump into the craziness of the day. Because I have a team now. There's lots of Slack messages. There's email communication. Like, you have to be intentional. And so I have that 1 hour to wake up, and sometimes it's writing my book. Sometimes it's working on a project I'm working on. Whatever is important, I do that for 1 hour. Then I close the laptop and I go exercise. I do my journaling, and then I get ready for the day. That to me has worked well, but it's because my chronotype is a lion. Number 2 chronotype is bears. Now, bears are the midday types. And so if you are a bear chronotype, the lunch hour hustle might be best for you because you tend to be the most alert right at the middle part of the day. So you're not a morning person, you're not a night person, but boy, you are a midday person. And then there's number 3, wolves. Wolves are the afternoon types and even somewhat evening types. So you start to come alive in late afternoon and evening. So your best work is typically when you're the most alert. And for you as a wolf, you might be more alert around 3 to 6 p.m. So you might want to think about as soon as you get home, trying to figure out a way to jump into your work a little bit, even if it's an hour at a time. And then finally, number 4 is a dolphin. Now, dolphins are late night types. This is what we all know as the night owl, right? My son, he's 16 years old, but he is a dolphin. In fact, he has started his own business, and he likes to create from scratch and develop video games that he sells online. And whether it's creating the music for the game or coding the actual game, he comes alive just after supper. So from 6 to about 10 at night, he loves to work on creating his video game. And that works best for him. Mornings, not so much. He drags a little bit in the mornings. And so the point is, knowing your chronotype can help you to determine when you're the most alert, because maybe you're fighting against your own type. Now, if you go Google the Power of When quiz, you can actually take a free quiz that will tell you your chronotype. I took it, and that's what helped me to really understand that I was a lion. So again, let's do a quick recap. Tip 1, work for yourself first. That's what worked for me. 2 hours every morning, Monday through Friday, 10 hours a week, allowed me to get momentum in my blog and online business. Tip 2, the Saturday morning blitz. Maybe you just need to carve out 2 to 4 hours on a Saturday that you can be intentional about getting things done. Tip 3, the lunch hour hustle. Maybe you need to take advantage of the midday 1 hour lunchtime that you have in your regular day job. And then, of course, tip number 4, know your chronotype. By knowing your chronotype, you'll work when you're the most alert. So I hope that helps. I hope that gives you some encouragement today. Again, if you're like, Jonathan, I just need help getting started. Well, go grab our 9-page guide called the Discover Your Message Blueprint. Just go to marketyourmessage.com/discover and you can grab that today. Well, that's it for this episode. I hope this was an encouragement to you. And if you got topics or questions that you would like me to cover on future episodes, let me know. And also take a moment right now and like, share, subscribe, or even review our show so that I know that this is helpful to you. All right. Until then, never forget your message matters.